Welcome back, everyone. We are going to be doing an updated tier list for the month of May. We have 4 new additional characters with N-Corp Sinclair, N-Corp Don Quixote, Sous Chef Gregor, and Sous Chef Ryoshu. And we also have some updates to make with the current list that we have. So, first and foremost, Sinclair is definitely a double S tier unit. The ability to be able to hit for 30 on coin flip 1 with low sanity is insane. He's actually one of the few characters that can do crazy damage with the setup of just low sanity. So he actually works very well in long battles. The only issue is that you actually have to play around with his sanity. So you definitely have to pair him up with something like Faust if you want to maintain his sanity where he doesn't go ego corroded, or you just don't equip egos that can make him go ego corroded and you just make him panic and miss a turn. Overall, very strong unit, really liking the kit. In the beginning, I thought he was going to be kind of jank because he's a burn character where he adds burn count, but honestly, very, very strong. N-Corp Middle Hammer Don Quixote, she's kind of sits in B-C tier. I'd probably put her in C tier. Her 2 to 5 speed is really slow. It makes her actually not that good. I will say though, her support can be a little bit better in supporting nail comps, but overall not very strong, kind of slow, not a lot of damage. Now, RB Sous Chef Gregor is also kind of a C tier. The only thing good about his kit is his support when he's off the field. He can give you the ability to heal your units for a decent amount of HP every turn if you have 5 lust, I believe. But his skills 1, 2, and 3, the coin flip potential is so low. His max roll is like a 9 for any of his 3 skills, so it's really bad. And RB Sous Chef Ryoshu, also a SS tier unit. She's actually a unit that can out-damage Heathcliff under the right condition. Her skill 3 does more damage with opponents with lower health, so she acts as an execute. So she works really well with bosses that have a big HP threshold. She can do upwards of 300 damage, but obviously she needs quite a bit of setup to be able to get to that point where the boss has taken a large amount of damage where you can do 300 damage in one swing. Don Quixote is still pretty much at the top for her ability to be able to clear the mirror dungeon, so she stays up on top. Same with the Dark Thief is still pretty much at the top. Now, a few changes to the list. After having played with Jefe de los Moraques Sinclair, I would say he's kind of a B tier now for me. You don't play him in the team, but you use him more so for his passive, where he gives extra damage to the person with the high sanity, I believe. So his passive is actually pretty good. Speaking of which, though, I'm also... Where's this girl? Rodion still down here? No. Speaking of which, though, we'll move these characters up. The Yi Sang, the Sinclair, the Section 6s. They're actually a little bit better than before. Same thing with Cutthroat, Limbus, Otis. These characters do have a niche use in them, but honestly, these 3 characters just get outclassed by all the other ones, so I keep them in this tier right here. Now, Ishmael is a character where we're gonna slightly bump her up into A tier. I do like how her passive actually gives you quite a bit of extra damage overall, so for me, she's pretty decent in A tier as like a base standalone character, but we're keeping her only here as a support unit. You would never actually use her on field. Now, G-Corp Gregor is moving up in the tier list to S tier because with the update that fixed his eviscerate damage, now he actually does good chunky damage because his skill 3 actually does 50% more damage if the enemy has rupture, but that damage multiplication never applied because it was just bugged out. Now that it's been fixed, we can move him back up a little bit. Now, I would say moving down in the list, Otis. She's actually a character that I don't really use as much anymore. Even though she's a great clash monster, she doesn't exactly do a lot of damage. She can win clashes very easily if you need to win clashes, but more often than not in the content that we're clearing right now, other characters perform just a little bit better. Same thing with Ting Tang gang leader Hong Liu. We're moving him down to A tier. He's a decent enough character where he can do a lot of damage with Mutilate, but it's a little bit too conditional. his damage ceiling is kind of capped on the condition that he can kill someone with Mutilate if he lands heads, and that's also if the enemy is staggered. I find that the only time I do a lot of damage with Ting Tang Gang Leader, with Mutilate at least, is if I have it where the enemy is staggered and they're about to die. Mutilate will do wonders. But even then, sometimes you might miss the head flip and you won't do as much damage. I will say though, Hong Liu, we're moving him up. His Cloud Burst and his Cloud Strike, the two skills, are just very consistent high output damage. He's actually very low investment and pretty easy to get, so we're moving him into S tier. He's relatively strong. And honestly, I would say that we are going to be moving Otis actually into the S tier now. This version of Otis, based off of just how Sanity works now, her coins have such high base power that if you have high Sanity, it's almost impossible for her to lose a clash. But not only that though, she works with a very good support unit because she can buff defense of a teammate, but not only that, they'll buff attack of a unit. So she works very well as a support, very strong unit if you're in need of a budget use. A few characters that are also going to be moving up is we're going to be moving up Hong Liu, Mersault, and Gregor. With the addition of N-Corp Sinclair, these three characters are a lot more viable now because the ability to run a burn team is actually kind of feasible now. You now have four characters that can actually apply burn consistently, and you can obviously throw in the addition of, say, Ryoshu or Yi Sang to be able to apply more burn with their egos. But overall, these three characters get a slight bump up just because of how much stronger they are now in conjunction with the support of N-Corp Sinclair. A few moves left is Blade Saosu Yi Sang moving up to A tier. Originally at drop, he was just a character that every guy got, and he was kind of slept on, but as you progress through Mirror Dungeons and the Refraction Railway, Yi Sang actually is just really good, solid, consistent damage. He actually has a high coin flip potential, making him just a very strong character, especially with how poise works in longer battles. So overall, a little bit stronger after playing with him a little bit. And one last adjustment I would say is Ishmael. This version is sort of S tier in the sense that she works as a budget damage dealer if you don't have any of these other characters available for you to use. The condition where she needs to be at 50% less HP is a little bit annoying to get to even in Mirror Dungeon, but once you can get there, she can be very, very strong. However, though, she's more of a budget option. We don't have any other characters. Any of these four characters at the top, very, very strong. Now, N-Corp, Growhammer, Mersault, moving down in the tier list. I actually don't use him much anymore. Even though he's got like really decent egos with Pursuants and the chains, he actually doesn't do a lot for the team because he just doesn't do enough damage. Even though he offers a lot of utility, at the moment there just isn't really content that really requires the utility he provides. Ryoshu, we're moving her down into kind of the B tier. I don't really use Ryoshu anymore because with the addition of just RB Chef de Cuisine, this Ryoshu is just kind of slept on, and right now Bleed is in an okay spot, but you have so many better options for Bleed units. And we are moving down Rodion and N-Corp Climbhammer. These units rarely ever used now. I don't play with these characters at all, if anything else. They've kind of just fallen off the tier list for me. I don't really use them anymore at all, honestly, so they're kind of being slept upon. So right now they're just B tier for me, not because they're not strong really, but because more so in terms of content, there's nothing that I really need to use these guys for. Overall, the rest of the tier list is basically still the same. I would say that overall, a lot of these characters in the bottom don't really have much use cases. These characters I can see somewhat being used, but I will say though, Sinclair, I would say has warmed up a little bit for me. As weird as that sounds, we're making him A tier. What I realized is in the chicken Bongi plushies Mirror Dungeon is that out of all his egos, or not egos, but his identities, outside of obviously the one that grips Sinclair, between Saosu Sinclair, Maraca Sinclair, and Base Sinclair, and Section 6 Sinclair, surprisingly, this Sinclair has the overall highest coin potential. The only character that has a higher one, quote unquote, is Blade Lineage Saosu with his skill 3. But that's only one skill. All the other skills, just LCB Sinclair actually has a higher base coin flip. So really warmed up to him. But once I got the one that grips, this one just got benched indefinitely. This one's just very strong overall. There's just no way of competing. Overall, these are just the few changes that I have made to the tier list. Let me know down in the comment section what you guys think about this. Is this more an accurate representation? Obviously, there's a lot of characters that I didn't go over, but more often than not, all of these characters just didn't have anything going on for them. As usual, John Panios signing off, and let me know if you have any comments down in the section comments down below. Alright, bye for now.